True freedom amplified. Oh boy. Okay. So these are charging, right? They're almost done. We'll talk about these next. Want to make sure that I do the reviews and the orders that I got them, and I think that this will work pretty well. These are the Indy Evo from Skullcandy. I've owned another Skullcandy product before in my time of listening to music, but it was during a time where I wasn't really listening to music. It was just me playing sounds, right? So now that I've started to really look at sound differently, thanks. Kind of interesting to look back at these products, these two products. It's not only these, but I believe it's also the Sesh Gen 2, I'd say, Gen 2. The Indy Evos are also, in a sense, the Gen 2 of this lineup. They are the more top end. There's a more top end of this, which is basically like wireless charging or fast charging. It's the Indy, not push. It's like Indy something. Fuel. Indy Fuel or whatever. And I bought these because they were cheaper. But I didn't buy these on sale. I bought these brand new. And there's quite a bit to talk about for these. A lot more than I guess you'd expect. Especially because this is probably going to be one of the first videos where they're not really audiophile like gold, and they're not really audiophile level of standard. Like some of the headphones I've reviewed are standards for sound or for audio engineering to some extent, right? And some of the stuff like the KPH 30Is and the Porta Pros, they're like audiophile gold. Like that's $50 and you get sound that is insane. Okay? The Indy Evos are like a first consumer, I think, like earbud or IEM or sound reproducing apparatus that I'm going to be reviewing. And I have to kind of remember to set the bar a little low. But these set the bar pretty high because when I compare it to another headphone, okay, and I can keep that to a headphone, okay, that I was thinking would be the be-all and end-all for my journey of trying to seek good audio on the go. Portable audiophilia. These take the cake and the other ones could literally go suck it. So, the Indy Evo unboxing experience is actually not the same as the Sesh. It's actually worse. The Sesh actually has like a flip thing, and you can actually see the little earbuds inside. Ooh. These don't have that. You get the warranty, this is a receipt. You have a little manual here that tells you like, oh, how to pair. And also like what all the touch controls do. Oh, I kind of spoiled it, huh? Touch controls, amazing. The Seshes don't have that, it's a button. Then you have a little cable in here, which is a USB type A to USB-C. It's another little tiny user guide that is so fat that I don't want to read it. And it's got earbud accessories of different sizes. You get 3 in total, and you also get 2 different kinds of sizes for. It's like a skin that fits into your ear. So that's it. That's literally all you get in the box. Nothing too special. It's pretty good. You buy them from Staples, by the way. You're able to get those, that warranty and stuff where like, if you lose an earbud, we can replace it for you in the next 2 years. Don't know if you care about that if you live in Canada, but thought I'd note that. Always try to get deals like that, my guy. Trust. You never know when you're going to actually need it, and you might end up losing something. So, here they are. They're charging. These things are amazing. Okay? That's it. That's all I'm gonna say. They're actually amazing. They're crazy. Let me just quickly get the 315s and the what's it called? The cheapo Shures, like in a moment. All right. I think the cheapo Shures are in here. Yeah, cheapo Shures. No, these are the 315s. Ah, cheapo Shures. There you go. Okay. So, we're talking about form factor. Okay. Wow. So that's something, right? That's something about these like Bluetooth earbuds that are kind of annoyingly good, for the lack of a better phrasing. Yeah, they're annoyingly good. And why do I want to word it that way? It's because they'll always beat any other IEM in terms of form factor. Think about it. If this is one of the smallest hard cases, one of them, okay? It's got a little belt clip, bandolier. I used to call them bandoilers. I'm really stupid. You can put this on your belt, loop, whatever. You got this one that's soft from Shure. Most of Shure's IEMs come in a soft one like this. You got this. How do you beat this? How do you beat this, dude? Because even the wireless, I think, oh my god, I've been out of this for a while, huh? MCX, MCXX, I think it's MMCX. The connector that is for the Shure IEMs and for other IEMs of the same kind of a plug. Dude, I'm so out of it. There is a wireless one that Shure has made, and they look like a bean, or they look like a cherry with like this. Literally looks like this. I'm not doing this as the meme. It literally looks like this, and then it does the same freaking dealio, where it goes behind the ear. As you can see here, it goes this shape here, goes behind the ear, and this sits inside of your ear. Now plugs into this. Now, the only thing I don't like about those is that the case is also big. It's big, okay? So, you can't beat something like this. AirPod Pros might be the next step above this. I mean, truly it would be. But let's be real here. These are cheaper than the AirPod Pros. I've never heard AirPod Pros, but if they're as easy to use as these, I think I might even make the jump to buy. Because this, as much as this is fine and dandy, it's not like I'm starting to convert and be like, get wireless stuff. It's just that sometimes on the go, it's just not fun to have to plug something like this in. This is really good for like when you're at home and you gotta plug something in. Not when you're on the freaking bus and you need to plug a cable like this in. You can even get the thinner ones that are more lightweight. But then, especially for IEMs, they get uncomfortable very quickly. And also at the same time, you run into the issue of this is something that I think is maybe just personal and it's not something that is shared amongst other audiophiles out there. But have you ever had the little phenomena happen where you're eating or talking and the way that your jaw moves squeezes your ear canal and it actually pushes the earbuds out? Freaking annoying. So I had to get the freaking mushroom tip kind of style of like ear tips so that they just plug and stick in my ear. Like these literally go in my ear like they're supposed to. These ones are just stock Shure ones. They don't go as deep. But on the 315s, I've used these also on the cheapo Shures. They're just painful. Okay, the rubber is just not cut nicely. So it feels like someone's put like plastic in your ear. So you run into a bunch of freaking dumb issues. I've also wore other in-ear monitors where they go with crazy designs so that way it has like this curve and rubber and whatever that fits inside your ear or around your ear so that they can stick in place. And they're more found on like athletic consumer Bluetooth earbuds or in-ears. but I've never liked them. Sometimes they're not even ergonomic when they're meant to be. So what about these? The Indy Evos have this rubber part here, okay, this sleeve almost, that goes around the whole bud, okay? As you can see here, I just took it off. It's going to be a bit of a pain to put back on because I'm just lazy like that. But anyways, it is easy to get on, okay? And these things have only 2 sizes. And I'm using the original one that is on these in the first place. First place? Yeah, sure. They're a little bit taller. They're not bigger or thicker. They're just taller. And they fit. They work. You know what? I'll hand it to Skullcandy. They freaking work. They're not ergonomic. Here's the shorter one. But it's just that I wish there was a third. Okay? Like this is tall enough where it fits in the spot of the ear that it's supposed to. You know what? I'll get the hears for this one. Hold up. So here we are. Here's the hears, okay? Now, that's an ear, right? This rubber thing is to fit inside of the ear like so. It actually sits underneath this part of your ear, which I was never good at biology. I don't know what that thing's called. But all I know as a user of this thing is that that is just too freaking tall. Is this the left ear? Ay, ay, ay. Here we go. Look at that. It's a little too tall, okay? But this is the one that works the best for my ear. I just wish there was a middle one, man. You gave us three sets of ear bud inserts, but you didn't give us 3 sets of this sleeve. I think that's like the weirdest complaint that anybody will ever have, is that we should have had more. What about the sound, Seth? What about the sound? Okay, let's just stop talking about that as I vigorously try to put the sleeve back on the earbud. The sound. They're an earbud, all right. They suffer from a lot of the weaknesses that most earbuds would. Some of the symptoms of in-ear earbuds include having very small soundstage, something going on with the mids, possibly V-scooped, and there can somewhat be a lack of detail. And not only that, they could possibly be uncomfortable. They could fall out. You can lose one of them. Like, I mean, there's a lot of very bad things that come with getting this style of earbud. But for some dumbass reason, Skullcandy did a really good job, and some of those you can literally take away. These have never fallen out of my head. Out of my ears. And at the same time, they do have a pretty damn good fit. You know what? I'll give them that. I'm considering getting Tacony bullets and to see if they fit on these, which I'm going to assume they will. But I digress. I believe that even just the stock earbuds alone are a very good fit. They also have the design of the Gen 1 AirPods, but they just look a lot more slimmer. They look a lot bigger in person, I'm not going to lie, but they're not noticeable on your ears. I mean, you'll know that they're in there, but it's not noticeable to me that they're that big. And now, the one thing that kind of sucks about these, I don't know if I already put that on the list, but it's the bass. For most of these in-ear monitors, if they're used for music, such as the 315s or even the other Shure IEMs on the higher end, they typically don't really have good bass. And I think that's more mainly due to the fact that there's less to work with. It's going directly into your ear, and it's it's kind of just assuming and hoping, okay, that the engineers are hoping that your ear canal is the same size as whatever kind of, design that they're using for the measuring or whatever, and your ear fits the spectrum of their average, possibly. Right? I'm assuming that that's what's probably going down here, because they're assuming that you get a good seal off the gate. Your canal is a certain shape, and you're going to get pretty decent bass. These have bass. We'll put it that way. But it's definitely in the frequencies that we don't want it. It starts to be along the lines of muddy. The mid-range is definitely interesting. I think it's one of the most unnoticeable things about them. I don't notice the mid-range. And it's not like, again, it's a heavy scoop. That V curve that most people are very accustomed to or very familiar with elevated highs and elevated lows, but then literally dipped mids. I don't think that's the case. I think it's just the muddiness. Maybe between 250 to 400 hertz is probably where this is occurring. And it's just to make up for the, lack of bass that can be reproduced or that can be carried out with a design like this. And what I mean by that, by like a design like this, I just mean in ears in general. Some just have difficulty with bass. And I believe that is just inherently a design that is a flaw, or possibly every engineer's like golden ticket to success is, can I solve that? Maybe some other companies have done it. Maybe other like in-ear monitors have done a better job. But from what I've experienced so far, I think it's a difficult task. Again, I haven't tried a lot of in-ears, but headphones do a lot more better at least having some impact. These have impact. These have no impact. It's just muddy bass. It's what you'd expect from Skullcandy. But the high end's pretty good. It's not breathy and full of life, but it's definitely not lifeless and something to write home about. The high end is there, and it works pretty well compared to whatever mess is in the low end. But then the one thing about these that got me thinking was just their soundstage. There's soundstage. It's not wide, but it's not too narrow. And I think that was the thing with the Sesh, if I recall from memory, is that the Seshes had a more narrow soundstage and they had more of that bass problem compared to the Indy Evos. So compared to these, the Indy, the Skullcandy Seshes are just kind of, and especially the ergonomics and the size and the shape of them, if you've seen what they look like, yeah. But the Indy Evos, they fix a lot of those issues that the Seshes have and more. Because these have 30 hours of battery life. If I'm correct, yeah. 30 hours of battery life. And I think it's 6 on the actual bud, and you get 24 on charge from the case. Another issue with these that are very common is apparently the fact that the contacts can get dirty and dusty, and you can have a lot of issues with trying to charge them again. To the point where when you put them inside the case, the little light indicator that indicates that it's charging may not even light up at all. So that's something to kind of watch out for. Because if these are only like $80 to $90, you better assume that they cut corners somewhere. I like how I put everything away, but I forgot this. But I think, again, the most important takeaway about these were, I was surprised that the soundstage was pretty decent. It was okay. It's not cutting edge, but I think that it has other features, a part of it, that make it so much better. so much better compared to even the NDH20s. Because if it isn't sonically in the lead, because the NDH20s are definitely a headphone for portable use that I would take any day above these. I think one of the things are probably the ease of access and the Bluetooth capabilities. It has Bluetooth 5.0. It also has touch controls. And from the feel of it, the touch controls were as fast or just a little bit slower than the THX Pandas, which is totally not foreshadowing what the next video will be about. And that was a surprise. I think that something I liked about these was that these actually have pretty decent Bluetooth controls. They're very easy to turn on and off. They're very easy to pair. Keep in mind they have like that auto pair or whatever thing. Like as soon as they get pulled off out of the case, they will automatically pair to your phone. And they have something that I've experienced for the first time, and that's pass-through. So I don't know how I'm supposed to be able to like record that for you guys to hear if you've never heard it before, like what pass-through really is like. And it's basically when the microphones on these things are turned on and you can hear the ambient noise around you. Let's put it this way. These have better sound cancellation. Same with these. Like all in-ears, I think, have better sound cancellation than the DT48s. And I'm going to use the DT48 as like the benchmark because it's a closed back. It's got nice tight clamping force and pretty decent pads to be able to do its job, which again for them they were either used for audiometric measuring, or they were used for studio monitoring, or for like recording abroad and trying to monitor the recordings. So they have better sound isolation than these, which is a feat. And I mean, I hope that they would, since again, like I said, most in-ears would have that strength anyways. But the one thing to explain about how that pass-through works is like, it's like someone turned a closed back into an open back headphone. And again, I'm only doing this bit because, you know, maybe some of the people who are watching this have never experienced it before. So that's why I'm doing this bit, okay? So it's kind of cool. And that was the first time. This is the first product I've experienced that. And I thought it was a gimmick. It isn't. If anything, it is one of the most helpful things for daily commuting as an audiophile enthusiast, because I don't want to freaking put on and take off these things, especially the fact that we have masks. So this is a lot more attractive because Bluetooth and because of the pass-through. Now, let me just say though, for the first time I've experienced pass-through with these, they're not really good with voice. I'm assuming that they made and measured and did all the things with the Indy Evo, assuming that you're not wearing masks, and they're also assuming you're not ordering coffee with one of those freaking plastic acrylic covers in front of the till. But I digress. They're good enough. I can hear when a car is nearby. I can hear when the train is making those train noises on the railroads. I can even hear when the next stop is coming, when that thing is on. I can even hear the AC vents in the freaking bus. Like, I think that that's good enough, okay? It's got really good high-end reproduction or pass-through. And the filtering looks to be more attenuating the low end and somewhat of the mid-range. And I think that's also what kind of shows, again, the strengths and weaknesses of the actual drivers that are in this to begin with. They're not the best. They're definitely not the best. But I mean, frick, man, that form factor, come on. Can you beat that? Can you beat that? You know? Outside of its category, I think that you will almost every single moment, right? And even though they're not the most audiophile level of listening experience, I've learned that there's a few features on these a few features on these that I really wish I could have on the Indy H20s. And at that point, that kind of raises the question of why buy good high-end headphones for daily commute when you can buy good headphones for daily commuting that may or may not be audiophile in nature. And that's what's going to lead to the next headphone review. It's going to really solidify why I can't have nice things. Okay? But anyways, the Indy Evo, the video was a lot longer because again, I really wanted to talk about really just that experience of using these. It's really opened my mind to what I might want out of a headphone or an earbud. And I think that it's a really good kind of like awakening moment, or I don't know the word to find here. It's a very good humbling moment because I despise things like this, right? I hate it. And they did make me appreciate the soundstage and the bass reproduction of in-ears that are meant for that. And I can see how you can still get light cables and have the experience feel like it's not wired. But even with the lightest cable, even with the best sounding in-ear and whatever, you just can't get away from having to take it off. And if we don't need to take off the in-ear or the headphone that we spent, and I bet you a few of you do this, you spend just a little time just to make sure that like it fits right. Especially for in-ears where the seal is the most important to begin with. I think that is the biggest hassle for most audiophiles that are audiophile enthusiasts that want good sound on the go. Is this a good audiophile No, it's not. But is it a good substitute for what is to come over there? Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So, on a sad note, I'm going to do the next video, and I'm not going to be happy because there's a lot of complaints about the next product I need to review. So, take care, be safe, and wish me luck.